Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
This week in Global Print, I will tell you about Russia, how and why it's returning front and center to India's foreign policy imagination. First of all, External Affairs Minister S Jaishankar is in Moscow even as we speak. He has gone there to participate in the foreign ministers' meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. On the margins of this, he will meet the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, and we know that over the last few days, India and China have had a particularly rough time across the line of actual control in the Ladakh sector, where shots have been fired for the first time, let me add, since 1975. Both India and China have denied that they are the ones who have fired the shots. A few days ago, the Indian soldiers have also taken the heights within India's side of the line of actual control, but overlooking Chinese positions. Now, this is quite interesting because for the first time since the Chinese intruded across the LAC in May, the Indians have some sort of an advantageous position. So it's in all these issues, a possible pullback, the contours of which we don't know yet, but we know that there will be discussion definitely between Jaishankar and Wang Yi on the margins of that SCO meeting. And this has been facilitated by Russia. Now, last week also we saw how Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, met his Chinese counterpart, General Wei Fenghe, also at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization defense ministers meeting in Moscow. This past weekend, off the Bay of Bengal, India's and Russia's navies have exercised together their 11th bilateral exercise called Indira Navy. Now, what is interesting about the Indian and Russian navies jointly exercising is that at the same time, India has still not formally invited Australia to participate in the Malabar exercises. Now, the Malabar is an exercise, a naval exercise between India, the US, and Japan, and there was a lot of speculation that India would invite the Australians as well. In a sense, creating a quad of navies, which is what these four countries call themselves, and there is a foreign ministers meeting of this quad also slated next week in Delhi, but this quad of navies across the Indo-Pacific signaling to China that it cannot have its way, whether in the South China Sea or indeed in the Ladakh sector. So this refusal to invite Australia is indicative of the fact that India realizes that it wants Russia's help to sort out this mess with China and Ladakh. And it doesn't at any rate want to antagonize Russia by reaching out to the Australians and also to the Americans and to the Japanese as far as the Quad is concerned. But let me also say right here that this is not a return of the good old days of Hindi-Russi, bhai-bhai, when former Soviet leaders came to the rescue of India. Famously in 1971, when the USS Enterprise was sailing into the Bay of Bengal, this is at the height of the India-Pakistan war, and the Russians or the Soviets at the time prevented that from happening and basically came out in favor of India and signaling to the Americans that they cannot support Pakistan, and we know that the rest is history. This friendship today is based on hard-nosed realism. India understands that Russia is a relatively weak economic power, that America is still, although a bloodied power, is still the most powerful nation in the world. China, of course, a very close second. But what is very interesting is that Russia's president, Vladimir Putin, is perhaps the only world leader today who can pick up the phone and call Chinese President Xi Jinping. And this is perhaps what has been done. We don't know for a fact, but without the nod of the Chinese president and the Russian president, this conversation between Jaishankar and Wang Yi could not have taken place. So Russia exhorting both its friends, it needs India, it wants a very special relationship with India. We've seen that Prime Minister Modi and Vladimir Putin 2 years ago in Sochi had a very warm and affectionate meeting. So, but at the same time, Russia and China have a very, very close friendship as well. A lot of that is based also on the fact that Russia sells a lot of its firepower, its weapons, its aircraft, its fighter jets to the Chinese, and the Chinese are a very willing buyer and they pay good money for that. So Russia is not about to give up its friendship with the Chinese, but at the same time, it realizes that if it is able to somehow get the Chinese and the Indians to back off, to arrive at some sort of a compromise where both countries, both Prime Minister Modi and the Chinese president, can declare victory, where there can be a compromise that is acceptable to both sides, then this will be a feather in the cap of the Russian president. This is all we have for now, but it will be interesting to see how this unfolds over the next few days, whether this will have an impact on the India-US relationship, which has gone from strength to strength. We've seen how Prime Minister Modi and Donald Trump, during the Howdy Modi event last year in Texas, and both men, well, Modi took Trump's hand and walked around him with the stadium, and then returned the compliment earlier this year, before the pandemic, in Ahmedabad during the Namaste Trump visit. So Modi and Trump have a very good relationship, but right now, India needs Russia. It is reaching out to Russia, hoping that there can be some sort of a compromise with the Chinese. But as I said, we will know only over the next few days how this plays out. This is Jyoti Malhotra for ThePrint. Please continue to watch our YouTube channel, subscribe to us, and tell us what you think.